Your iPhone's been keeping a list of every place you've been with dates. It's 5 menus deep, it needs your face to unlock it, and it's been on since the day you set your phone up. But I'm gonna show you how to change that and a bunch of other settings that Apple has buried in the iPhone. So let's jump right into the accessibilities with the first one, and this is one that I've honestly never seen before, and I thought it was really cool once I found it. So you go into the accessibilities and then you go down until you see per app settings. So it's closer, I believe, to the bottom. So it's right there, almost at the very end, you have per app settings. Now you can see right here, I have YouTube Studio added. I can go ahead and add another app right here. So let's go and let's do the Amazon app. So if I go in here, this allows you to just change the settings of a single app. So if there's an app that you find the font is just too small, it's only small on that app, every other app you have no issues with, this is where you can change that. So you can actually make the font bold. You can increase the font size and make it larger just for that one app. You can also reduce transparency. So if there's just one app that's just a little bit more transparent than you wish it was, that is where you can change it. Same thing with the borders and the on-off labels. Another option in here is the smart invert. So you can have it default on or off. What is this? If there's an app that doesn't support dark mode, it's not perfect, but there is a chance that it can give you a better dark mode experience. So right now, as you can see, my iPhone is in dark mode, but if I go into Amazon, Amazon doesn't really apply to dark mode at all. But if I come back, I turn this option on for the smart invert. We're gonna go back out, and now I'm gonna come back to Amazon, and it does the best job it can. So obviously there's some animations going on in here. It's not going to be able to do those. It has some issues with some colors, but you can see for the most part there is a lot more dark mode in here. The tab bar is now dark mode. I can come into a product and just go through it all in dark mode, which is kind of cool that you can do this. So now the smart invert, the way that works is it does its best job not to mess with pictures. So it's gonna keep those with the white because it doesn't wanna mess with them. It's not perfect, but once I come into here, it'll probably have a better image for that as well. That is a really nice feature. If you're somebody that likes dark mode, you can actually test that out on a single app. So if you have an app that you wish was a different way, this setting may actually allow you to do it. Now we're gonna check out another setting. It's under battery. So once this kind of loads the data, we can scroll down to power mode, and you can see adaptive power is on. Now a lot of you have possibly heard of adaptive power before. It's not a new feature, but the difference is now it's on by default with the iPhone 17 line, where with the 15 Pro and 16, it was off. So you may want to check it and just see, but basically what this setting does is when your power is kind of low, it can actually change the performance of your phone, lower the brightness, do all this stuff to try to allow it to allow the battery to last a little bit longer. So it can be a great feature if you want it, but if you don't want it, you should know if you have a newer phone, it is now on by default. Now this next setting that I'm gonna show you, I use all the time. So if we go into apps and we're just gonna search for the phone, we come in here, we can scroll down, and if you didn't know, you can actually screen your callers. So you can actually ask them the reason for calling, or you can just silence all unknown callers. This is an amazing feature. I can't tell you how many calls this saves my phone. Like I get so much spam calls and they're super annoying and you try to stop them, but it seems like no matter what you do or what you try to actually get them to stop, they always come through. And this actually stops them in their tracks. track. So I could silence it altogether, but I find that the reason for calling is probably the best option. What it does is it just has a little robotic AI voice, whatever, to ask you why you're calling. And then if they answer, which most spams won't, they'll just hang up at that point. But if they do answer, then you can actually see if it is a legitimate call. You can go ahead and answer that call. So this is a really nice feature. And I believe right now it is only available in English locations. And I think that if you do an emergency call, so if you press everything and call emergency services, this feature will turn off by default. So that way, if they have to try to call you back, they don't get this option. I feel like only Apple would have thought through every single little detail for it. And hands down, this is one of my favorite features on the iPhone. Now we're gonna go ahead and go back again. And now this one is in messages. So instead of the phone, this is just like its little caveat. So let me go ahead, go to messages. Let's see if I can type it right. And then in here, we can go down to unknown senders. So this is just an extra little bit, just like that phone. You can see I actually had it off. So hide notifications and move messages to unknown sender list. So if you turn that on, now all those spam messages that you get are actually now going to go to another area. So if I go into my messages now, you can see right up here in the top corner is a filter button, and there's the option for unknown senders. So everything that is not known will just automatically pop up in here, which is super nice and just keeps your messages clear. Now this is the part of the video that I like to stop and just thank the sponsors for this video, which is myself. Yes, I'm sponsoring this video. And the one I wanted to talk about today is StridePal. So if I go right in here, you can see my steps for the day. And yes, they are absolutely pathetic. But if I go back to last week was absolutely amazing. So I've been recovering and I just haven't gotten back in the groove. My kids started school today, but the goal is to be able to have something to track all this data. You can even see there's stats. You can customize this to your heart's content almost. If you have a stat that you would like to see that's not in here, you can reach out to me and there's a good chance that I will add it. And this app is also on the Apple Watch, so you can see it right here. I launch it, I get the update. Everything just stays up to date between the two. They work really well together. So if you're in the market, this is only $1.99 in the App Store. There's no subscription, there's no additional charging. It's just $1.99 and you have it for life. Even if you don't have the Apple Watch, this will still work. The iPhone actually has a pedometer system built into it, so you can get your steps directly from your iPhone. So we're back into the settings app. This time, this is one of those features that once you turn it on, you're gonna be like, why didn't I have this on from the very beginning? So all you have to do for this one is you go down to Sound and Haptics. So it's right here. We're gonna go ahead and tap right in there. And then in here, you wanna scroll down towards the bottom to keyboard feedback. So right here, you can actually turn on haptics. This is one of those little features that you can turn on that just make everything feel way better. You get that instant feedback as you're typing on the keyboard, and it just feels so good, and it just makes perfect sense. Like, I'm sure it takes a little bit of a hit to the battery, but honestly, I think it is well worth the trade-off because it is such a nice feature to have on. But maybe you've turned it on and it drives you crazy. I don't know if that's possible, but if you are, this is where you turn it off if you kind of forgot where to find it. Same thing with sounds. If you don't like the keyboard making sounds, you can actually turn that off. So if you are one of those people that keep your ringtone and stuff on, you can actually turn the keyboard sounds off. But highly recommend checking out the haptics and trying to turn those on and see how it works. Another haptic thing, which we will go back into the accessibilities. So we'll go into here, we're gonna go to touch, And then you have Haptic Touch. So in this case, if you're like opening a photo and you just want to zoom in on it and just get the info on the photo, or inside another app where you can actually have that haptic touch, this just allows you to speed it up or slow it down. If you want it to be slower, turn on slow, and now as I press, it takes a little extra time. But if I want to speed it up, I can also speed it up. So now it's more near instant. So this is just one of those little things that can make your phone feel a little bit faster if you are somebody that has a lot of apps that work with haptics this way. But if you want to see a real world experience with how this works, we're going to open up the Photos app. So I can do the haptic press right here, and you can see how much faster this is than what you probably have experienced on your phone. So if I come back and we go to the slow option, and then we're gonna just go back, now I hold, and it takes a lot longer. So obviously it just depends what your preference is on all this, but I do kind of like the fast. So I think I may stick with the fast, at least for now, to give it a shot. But since we're on the topic of making things faster, let's talk about the camera. Something I like to do personally to just kind of improve my camera experience is if you come in here, you can actually preserve settings. So this is really nice. If you're somebody like me that usually always does video with their phone, this allows you to preserve that setting. So next time you open up the app, it's not going to always default to the camera after so much time. You can actually just turn this on and it will remember to just always go to whatever you were on last. Same thing with the photographic styles and creative controls, depth control, exposure elements, or if you are somebody that doesn't like the way portraits always defaults back, you can turn that off. Same thing with live photos. If you want to preserve whether you change or maybe you don't want to preserve and you want to make sure the live photos gets turned back on when you turn it off, that's something I would probably want. So I can just go ahead and turn that off, and then live photos is going to come back on rather than staying off. This is one of those things that allows you to take more control of the camera and make it a little bit more predictable. The next one is probably one of the things people have complained the most about in iOS 26, iOS 27. And that is the liquid glass. So in 27, they've given us even more control, but in 26, you had just a few options, but we're gonna go ahead and take a look. So I believe it's under appearances, and then you'll have liquid glass. In 27, if you're using 27, you'll just have a few different options like clear or less clear or whatever they call it. I can't even remember what they call it, but you'll just have a couple options. But in here you have in iOS 27 that's going to be released here within probably the next month, you can actually have a slider and fully control. And it's kind of cool. They give you a little example of what it will look like. So I can go all the way clear, and recently they even made it, I believe, even more clear. So, but we can also go fully tinted if you just don't like that liquid glass look. Since the liquid glass is heavily loved or heavily hated, I feel like it's nice that Apple does give us these options to kind of reduce it when we want to. So next up on the list is in the Music app. So we're gonna go right in here, go to apps, let's just type in music. And if you didn't know, you can actually control the EQ. So once we're in here, we can just scroll down, go to the EQ, and you have all these different options to choose from. But what this allows you to do is not only does it give you a lot of options, but if you're just somebody that likes to increase the bass on your songs, you can actually do that. Or if you like to make the treble a little extra or boost the vocals, you have those options right in here to make music sound the way you want to. And of course, if you're always feeling like your music sounds a little bit off, maybe you changed something in here and you forgot you did it. So heavily recommend checking that out and just seeing. But talking about still in the sound area, we're gonna go to another section. So we're gonna go back into accessibilities, and then we're gonna scroll down to audio and visual. And then we have these background sounds. So what this actually does is it allows you to play some sounds in the background. So obviously by default it is off, but you can come in here, and if you just wanna listen to rain on the roof, you can come in there, select that option, turn this on, and now you're just gonna be able to listen. Let me turn that down a little bit. Now you're just gonna be able to listen to rain sounding on the roof. So whether you have headphones on or not, you can just listen to that, and it's just really nice. And you have tons of different options to choose from. There's also the airplane sound, which I personally love listening to background sounds when I'm reading. It just helps me focus because I get distracted quite easily with things going around the house. So I found this to be really useful. You don't have to go get a third-party app. It's built directly into your iPhone. There's some more customization in here as well. You can have it not play with media. So if you're listening to music, it will stop. And you can also stop it when the iPhone is locked. So just so you know, it is there. If you like listening to background noise, even when you go to bed, you can actually just turn this on and listen to it then as well. But this next one is the one that I promised at the beginning of this video, and that's the fact that your iPhone is keeping track of everywhere you go. So if we come in here, we got to go all the way back out. This one is pretty buried. So all I have to do is I go down to privacy and security, and then location services. And then we go down again to, let's see where we at here, all the way down to system services at the very bottom. And then one more time, we're gonna come back down, and then it's right here, the significant locations and routes. So if I click on this one, you will see you have to have Face ID to access this. So I'm just gonna pull it up. And then right here, you can see it has 340 records of my previous locations. Now you see, I'm gonna blur this out so you can't actually see it, because that is my current location and everything else, and I don't wanna share that. But you do have the option down here to clear the history. But if you wanna just turn this function off altogether, you can actually do that just by turning that off, and then it's gonna give you the option disabling. You know, it kind of tells you, you know, it may cause some issues with the driver focus options, the location services and maps, but for the most part, it's not gonna mess with a ton. This is just stuff to kind of realize your habits, your routes that you go on and all this stuff. I do trust Apple with this. I don't think they use it for any nefarious reasons or anything like that. They're just using it to try to help your experience. So if you want to leave it on, I think it is perfectly safe to leave it on. But if you're somebody that's really worried about big companies having access, this is how you can actually turn that off, and you can just go through there. I'm just gonna leave it on. I'm not too worried about it myself, but Apple does make it easy to turn off once you know where it is, which is really nice. And now you know where it is, and now you can turn it off. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to hit that thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. God bless.